Hello, fellow crafters, and welcome to my next project. My name is Jennifer, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how I created a crepe paper flower for a greeting card. Now, this is for Alt News July Challenge. I'll be using 90-gram crepe paper as well as Happy Bloom dies. Now, I'll be using the leaf dies for the petals on my flower and the other leaf dies you see here for the actual leaves on the flower. Here's the inspiration photo, and I'm going to be using the colors as well as the gradient on those flower petals. So I'm just cutting out a strip of crepe paper, and as always, the grain needs to be going up and down. So if I want to stretch it, I'm able to stretch it. Now, I do give this paper a little bit of a stretch before I come in to die cut it, just because I'm actually not going to be stretching my petals. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I don't think it's necessary. Now I'm going to be using the blue and purple to try and get that blue color in the photo. I'm not sure I was really successful, but I did think I got as close as I could to that color. And of course, I'll be using the pink. Now, when I add the ink to the crepe paper, I'm really not spending too much time on where the ink is going and how it's going to look. I'm just putting the ink down. Again, I'm trying to get that blue color in the photo with my blue and purple ink overlapping each other. Again, not entirely sure I was successful at that, but I still think the flower looks great. Now I'm coming in with my pink. Again, I'm just laying the ink down. Once I'm done laying the ink down, I am going to die cut my petals. Again, these are a couple of the leaves from the Happy Bloom set. Now, I also want to note that if you do decide to try this with crepe paper, you will need a hard cutting plate. I have the magic mat, and when I tried to die cut, and I show this on a previous video, when I try to die cut crepe paper using the magic mat, it just doesn't work. You don't get a clean cut. It doesn't cut all the way through. So I do recommend a hard cutting plate if you are going to die cut crepe paper. Now you'll notice I'm not going to be wasting any crepe paper, so I'm going to take these pieces, the folded part of the pieces, and I'm going to use my other die, the other leaf die, to run that through as well. Now, I don't know how many petals I cut. I just went and cut a bunch. And I do have some leftover petals as well as leaves, and I could definitely make another flower with what I have left over. So you'll see here, this is what I'm going to be using for the flower petal. And you can also see that that ink went right through that crepe paper, which is absolutely fantastic. This means I don't have to worry about which side is the back and which side is the front. So we're going to move on to creating the center. And what I'm going to be making here is basically, and I don't know how else to put it, so forgive me, but like a cushion button. And that's going to be the center of our flower. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to accomplish that color I was talking about earlier. And I want it to be a dark center. I don't want it to be light. I don't want it to be green, nothing like that. I do want that blue and purple in the center. So I'm going to pull out a small circle die, and the size of this is about 3/4 to 7/8 of an inch. And this is going to be the base of that button, that cushion button I was telling you about. And then I'm going to grab some Kleenex, and I'm basically going to fold that Kleenex in. And once I've got a good shape, and I'm going to do my best to get it like a circle, I'm going to glue it on top of that die cut circle. Because once that's done, then we're going to wrap it in crepe paper, and that's going to be our center. And that's kind of what I mean by like a cushion button. It's going to be a cushy button. So I did cut off some extra toilet paper, or sorry, extra Kleenex. Now you could use toilet paper if you wanted to. I'm not sure I would really recommend paper towel just because most paper towel is really stiff and really heavy, and it's just not as workable as a Kleenex or toilet paper is. Now I would also recommend using a liquid glue. This card is probably going to be a bit heavy just due to all the paper, as well as the liquid glue will also allow you to move around that Kleenex a little bit if you need to. Hot glue won't do that. Hot glue is going to give you a lot more bulk and it's going to set pretty quickly. Now, again, this probably the most challenging part of this card was creating this center. Now, you don't have to use this type of center. You could just use that die cut circle if you wanted to, ink blend on top of that die cut circle and use that as your center. That's fine. Or even stack those circle die cuts to give you a little bit more dimension. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you could actually put petals in between each die cut. You could stack about 3 or 4 of those die cuts. That would actually look pretty cool. I really want to try that now. Anyways, moving on. So I've got my Kleenex glued down on my die cut. Now, because the crepe paper is a little bit translucent, I am adding a bit of color to that Kleenex. Not too much, just because Kleenex is pretty fragile. I'm going to make sure that's all glued down. Make sure I've got enough ink on that Kleenex. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the crepe paper around it. I've given the crepe paper a little bit of stretch just to kind of give it a little cup, just so it fits around that toilet paper a little bit better. And then I'm just going to glue down the back side. And I'm really just winging this. This is not, I've tried to make these in the past for my other crepe papers. Usually it doesn't go well for me. I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised this worked out as well as it did. I think it looks pretty good. So that's really good. I'm, patting myself on the back for that. So what I'm going to do now is enough of me chatting. I'm going to throw on some music and I'll come back and jump in as needed as we move forward. So I'm just going to jump back in here for a minute and just review real quick how I add the petals. Now I want the blue color, the blue side of the petal closest to the center. And again, it doesn't matter, which way I put these petals down, just because that ink did seep right through, which is excellent. Now, at first you can see I'm actually overlapping the petals, and I changed my mind here before I attach the third petal, and I want to space them out. I want to put a little bit of space between the petals because I'm going to keep adding layers. And I think this will look better with a couple of layers underneath if they're spaced out on top. I think it'll be too much. I don't think it's going to look right. I feel like I've learned this lesson before in the past. Now, of course, you can adhere your petals any way you like. So again, just putting the petals all around, then I'm going to be adding another layer. I add about 3 layers, and then I check it out and add a petal where I think it's needed. Now, while I was looking for a sentiment for this card, I came across this Stampin' Die set, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be great if this was coming out of a vase? So I'm going to use that tall vase, but I wanted to add a little bit more interest to that vase, so I'm actually going to die cut that out, and then I'm going to run that through with an embossing folder just to give it that texture, and then I'm also going to ink blend on it. And once I'm done with this, I'll show you, I think I did about 7 or 8 of them before I decided I wanted to use this beautiful light green color. And I'll show those to you here once we get this vase completed for our card. And here they all are. Here are all of the ones I made. I couldn't decide which design, which embossing design I wanted, which color I wanted to use. I tried multiple. Now, this actually looks really, really cool, but I thought it was just too much purple. And I've got some greens, I've got some teal. Again, very pretty. Mostly the same embossing folder. I just moved the paper around. Now, this one that I have in my hand is a beautiful kind of a brownish green, and it was really a toss-up between this one and the light green one I just made. But I'm definitely keeping these because I can definitely use them for future projects, and they're just so pretty and they're so easy to make. So moving forward, I'm just going to get my card panel ready. Just going to do a easy happy birthday. Then I'm going to attach my leaves, attach my vase, and we'll get that flower attached. And I will catch you at the back end. So I've got my panel completed and I've added a little bit of bling. I'm also going back in and just moving my petals around a little bit. If I wanted to stretch them out and give them a little bit of cupping, I could also do that. But I'm really just pulling the petals up a little bit just to add a little bit more dimension. So I'll just bring the card up here for a bit of a closer look. I really love how this card turned out. Really easy to make. There are a lot of steps into making this card, but they are easy steps. Thank you all for watching today. I hope this video inspires you to create your own project. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you at the next project.